are you? You have me all to yourself, so you get to make special requests today.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I could hear you now. I had to like dial in because I was on my phone.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, solved. Excellent. I was just saying that you have me all to yourself for this recording.
Oh yeah.
You can request anything that you want. Do you have anything in mind that you would like me to?
I don't know. Not really. Not anything in mind. Probably something light because I worked out earlier today.
Oh, what did you do earlier?
I have like a trainer. So we worked out, we did like full body with like weights and stuff.
Ooh,
A lot of lifting.
that sounds great.
Yeah, but I'm like sore already. And I worked out yesterday, so I'm a little sore from that too.
Hell yeah. Would you like to do, we'll do some of our normal core stuff, but do you want
Hmm.
maybe to do a deep stretch?
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, okay. That sounds great to me too, honestly. I could be totally into that. Okay, so yeah, I guess let's just get started. I'm gonna put on some perky music in the beginning, then we'll not ratchet it down. Um, and we'll just do a deep stretch for like the second half of class. Legs
Okay.
mostly, or upper body, shoulders as well.
I was lifting, so like my legs are sore.
Okay, cool. That sounds great. What a great idea. Alrighty, let me the last of my settings. Yeah, I can't. Well, maybe I can use pin. Okay, I'm gonna mute you just so that the camera
Oh
stops
yeah.
recording me. So that, yeah. Okay, cool. Not that I don't want to hear your lovely voice, and I'm gonna open my chat too. So if you want me to pause um, or work on something more, you can send me a couple of chats, and I'll be able to see it. And then I'm happy to do whatever you're in the mood for. All right, let's warm up first. All righty. Press through those feet. I forgot backup camera. Warming up. Let's go ahead and squeeze our shoulders up. So I'm going to keep my legs going down below. I'm starting to think about lifting up the pelvic floor and pulling the core in. But mostly I'm just moving my legs around to warm them up. Squeezing my shoulders up to put some tension into my trapezius, which are usually tight for most of us. And then I'm going to drop and really see if I can squeeze and drop a few times with the shoulders, just in case there's any parts of the muscle that are kind of clinging onto tension. I'm giving them a chance to reset. And also I get to look silly at the same time. All right, gently heads to your right, center, left, center, right, center, left, center. And we're going to step side to side. Let your hips go, which we almost never get to do in a Pilates class. But let's get all of this juicy. Yeah, let's just oil those joints up. Up with the head, long back of the neck, yeah. So you can even slide your hand up the back of your neck here and lengthen it. And then curve your chin into your chest for a moment. Long back of the neck. Okay. Circle those wrists. And switch directions. Our forearms are often neglected. Can you wave? Good. Grabbing your hands behind your back, pressing your chest forward, opening up the pectoralis muscles, serratus in between your rib cage. Just rock. Maybe twist those legs as you rock, and then place both legs forward. Big breath in, and let's bend our knees and drop down to the front. Let your hands pass your head for a moment, opening up the chest. Also, your legs are starting to stretch. Big breath. Let go of that tension. One more. Hands drop to your hips and the floor. Realize you still have socks on for no reason and take them off to get comfy. And march it back. Now I'm really pointing my feet, and then I'm going to kick my butts. Find your breath. And take it wide. And we're going to lift up that pelvic floor. We're going to pull in that Pilates scoop. We're going to tuck your hips. We're going to release your hips. We're going to let your scoop out. Drop your floor. Yeah? We're going to repeat this every time. We do it every time because it's actually the coordination that is tricky here, right? And that coordination is what saves us from, if we misstep, we don't drop everything at once. We can still hold on to the pelvic floor or hold on to your Pilates scoop. Even if you get off balance, they don't all come undone at the same time if we've learned the coordination to isolate them. All right, here we go. Floor up, scoop in, and we'll go neutral, 12 o'clock, neutral, 6 o'clock. Belly out, but scoop is still up. I'm sorry, but floor is still up. Floor relaxes. Floor up, belly in, tilt through, release, belly out, but not your floor, drop your floor. Floor up, belly in, tuck it, release it, out, drop. Up, in, tuck, release, out, drop. Up, in, tuck, release, out, drop. Up, in, tuck, release, out, drop. One more time. We're going to hold it on in there. Legs are comfortably turned out, so wherever it stands and feels comfy is fine. We're going to press our hips all the way over to your right side until you feel a stretch right here on the outside of that hip. We're going to lean away. Notice if your booty is out behind you, and just lengthen that by tucking in there, okay? We're going to stay right here. We're going to open our heart a little bit more towards the center front, and then we're going to pulse using your obliques. 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm thinking about this shoulder kind of crossing my body. Good. Come on up. Set it out on the other side. Let your hips stretch open to the left. Tuck it underneath. Open that back. Open your quadratus lumborum. That's this big chunk of muscle on the side of your back here. So we're not booty out because that would work your quadratus lumborum. Want that quadratus lumborum or QL nice and long. And we're going to cross across the body, tightening those obliques. Maybe poke yourself in the side here. Feel those muscles working. All right, now that we've woken up our obliques a little bit, we're going to come up and we're going to go side to side. So hips go right, tuck it under, arms up. We're going out. 2, 3, 4. How's your Pilates scoop? 6, 7, 8. And switch. Out. 2, 3, 4. Coming up. 6, 7, 8. Switch out. 2, 3, 4. Coming up. 6, 7, 8. Switch out. 2, 3, 4. And up. 6, 7, 8. And 4. 2, up, 2, and 1. 2, up, 2, and 1. 2, up, 2, and 1. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Here are the last pair. Arms down. Roll them down. All right, legs. We're going to push your legs back in space. Sit down in the middle here for a second. So inner thighs are stretching. Draw up and in. So from the side, I would like to be not here, not in a squat, but in a vertical lower back. Yeah, please excuse my mic back, this strange lump there you're seeing. So I gotta pulse those legs open. Stomachs are in. Squeezing underneath your glutes to open those thighs. I'm sure your tired quads are tired. Press it up and bring it in. All right, let's do some monster walks. So arms are in, pelvic floor is up, Pilates scoop is in, body is low as you can handle it. Arms are in, shoulders are staying over the hips. Walk anywhere you are able to walk in your space, going diagonally and together. No bouncing up. Really challenge yourself to stay low. If all you got space for is side to side, that's okay. Maybe one forward, one back, one back. Good. Okay, standing up nice and tall. We're gonna do flat back series. So that means we're gonna try and work from our hip sockets, holding everything nice and neat in the center. I need to tuck in here. All right, so we're gonna go first, flat back forward and up, then we'll add a squat, and then we will add some arms, okay? Legs are gonna be right underneath our hip sockets, yeah? Knees and toes straight forward. Arms are down by our sides, starting by lifting up and in. Hip tips. Yeah, so your butt goes straight out. When your shoulders are working to hold your shoulders in line so they're not drooping. And you're staring straight down at the floor. We're gonna come back up, yeah? So this is probably gonna get your glutes. You shouldn't be feeling too much in your lower back because your abs should be holding you nice and tight. Okay, fours, here we go. 4 counts. 4, 3, 2, 1. Come back up. 3, 2, 1. If you have a mirror, that's great because you can check the shape of your back. We're gonna go out. 3, 2, 1. Arms come up around the head. 2, 1. Arms back home. 3, 2, 1. Use your glutes to come back upright. 2, 1. Again. Oh. 3, 2, 1. Arms. 3, 2. It's okay if you need to bend your knees a little bit to get your back all the way flat. That's fine to modify like that. 3. Adding plie. We go. 4, 3, 2, 1. Arms go up. 3, 2, 1. We bend your knees. 3, 2, 1. Is your back still flat? Oopsie. There we go. Straighten. 1. And arms go back. 3, 2. Abs in. Coming up. 3, 2, 1. We go forward. 3, 2, 1. We go arms. 3, 2, 1. We bend those legs. 3, 2, 1. We straighten legs. 3, 2. Abs are in. We arms back. 3, 2, 1. And upright torso. 3, 2, 1. Good. Take that out. Let's take it down to the mat. Roll down. We're going 3, 2, 1, and rise. And 3, 2, 1, and rise. And curve. 2, 1, and rise. And curve. 2, 1, and rise. Check your pelvic floor is in and your belly's hollowed out. Let yourself gaze upon your belly button. Stay right there and pat the floor. Relax your shoulders back. Can you take your head back and gaze up at the moon? Rock it up. We're gonna roll onto the side of the hip and go ahead and walk your body all the way around, big twist. Good, come on up, switch sides. So right on the side of your hip, and twist your body against those hips. Good. All right, onto your backs. Oh, all three of your backs onto your back. I'm going to move my mic back, excuse me. While I'm doing that, go ahead and rock through your Pilates scoop. Remember, where pelvic floor is up, Pilates scoop is in, and we're rocking the pelvis. 12, neutral, 6. Neutral, 12, neutral, 6. Neutral, 12. Looking down at your own pelvis, you want to see that your belly's not pushing out when you're pushing to the edge here. A lot of the time we lose that Pilates scoop, so keep it up and in. It's very helpful sometimes to just give yourself the gift of a gentle hand on your belly so you get some feedback. All right, pulling it in. Make sure you feel your lower back pressing into the mat, and I want you to feel that feeling for a second before we move on. Lift one leg at a time off the mat. And keep that pressure, belly button into your spine, your growing roots out from your lower back. Keep that pressure, take the legs up. Now moving your legs in the air here is not that hard if you let your back come up off the ground, right? So the challenge here in all of these Pilates exercises is to keep that bound transversus abdominis and pull the top of your pelvis, right where the top of your pants are, wherever they are, pull that into the mat, yeah? If the weight is on your butt, you're not using the muscles that we want to focus on, yeah? That's the hard part. Go ahead and take your walk on the moon. All right, we're gonna reverse it. Oh, it's a moonwalk now, watch out. Oh, terrible puns. All right, both knees in, hug them first and feel how your pelvis rocked up when you gave it a hug. Big breath in. Pelvic floor up, Pilates scoop in. Can you hold that position of the pelvis at 12 o'clock without using your arms? And knees back in and legs extend. And knees back in and legs extend. Knees back in, legs extend. And knees back in and legs extend. Take your arms down to the mat. Notice if you do a hip up from here. So that means we're actively curling your hip up off the ground, that most of us tend to squeeze our shoulders off the mat. So I'd like to do hip ups next, but I want to challenge you, instead of squeezing up, you're going to squeeze your shoulder blades down and back. So you're pressing down and lengthening your head along the mat up above yourself. So in this way, you're going to be doing hip ups without losing your upper body posture. Let's take them nice and slow. Up, up, and down. You can use your arms as long as shoulders stay pressing into your mat, my friends. Okay, flex your feet. Flex your feet and point your feet. We're going to put all those things together. It's going to go double leg stretch, hip up and down. Flexed feet, push, point, up and down. Flex, double leg stretch, hip up and down. Point, extend, hip up and down. And flex, double leg stretch, hip up and down. Point, extend, hip up and down. Flex, take it in. That's enough of those for now. We're gonna do single leg stretch. Up, lower, higher, down. Up, lower, higher, down. Not using my hands to lift my chest. Belly travels down while my ribs curl up. And drop it down. Open those chests wide and rock your pelvis over to one side. Let your back stretch. Big stretch open. So quadratus lumborum is opening up here. Let your armpit and shoulder drop into the mat. Let your head look past that shoulder. Big breath. And then draw it into the center and switch sides. The weight of the leg pushing into the floor stretches out this quadratus lumborum. You can increase that stretch by scooching your ribs a little bit closer to the knee and opening the shoulder and armpit down away from the knee. Big deep breaths. All right, your abs pull you back center. Legs go up. Single straight leg stretch. The chest goes up, lower, higher, down. The legs come forward and back. If you want a little added detail, since we've done this a few times now, I'm going to focus on keeping my legs turned out here, and I'm going to lock them straight today. If you are tight in your hamstrings and you want to do this exercise with your knees slightly bent, that's totally fine, yeah? As long as we keep them turned out, not parallel. So turned out froggy style, and it's okay with me if they're a little bit bent. I'm going to straighten them today because I want to feel my glutes, my rec. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Quadratus medius, sorry, I had a little brain loss moment. Okay, so I'm going to tighten these guys. Here we go. Single straight leg stretch. Pilates scoop, up, lower, higher, down, up, lower, higher, down, up, lower, higher, down, up, lower, higher, down. Almost down with the quick ones. We're gonna slow down and legs together. Big breath in. Pilates scoop deepens. Feel that pelvic floor lift on up. Slow motion. Up, lower, higher, down, up, lower, higher, down, up, lower, higher, down, up, lower, higher, down, bellies, in, pelvic floor, up, last one, we're going up, lower, higher, down, release it. Come on over to your stomachs. Taking your elbows right underneath your shoulders. So right now my elbows are behind my shoulders, but I'm going to roll my shoulders back and lift my chest up by pushing through my forearms. So I'm keeping pressure not just to my elbows, but all the way down into my fingertips and palms. And by pressing throughout the arm, I'm going to activate just slightly the back of my arms here, yeah? Abs are in, legs are fully together, pelvic floor up, Pilates scoop up, lengthen your tailbone, and that means you're lifting your abs away from the floor. We're going to squeeze those legs together. We're going to lift a straight leg. It's going to be quite small because we're lifting through our abs, so lifting that thigh off the floor is going to be tiny. Switching your sides. Keep your abs strong. We don't want to feel any collapsing feeling in your lower back. Pushing through your hands. Good. Now let's come down a little bit lower. Same activity, but by coming down lower with our chest, we're going to give our legs a little bit more room to go. If your leg is coming up high, then you're probably using your quadratus lumborum, your back muscle, and arching through that back. That's not the point here. We want to keep both hips on the ground and our Pilates scoop in and away from the floor. So we're using just glute and hamstrings, okay? So keep it low, both hips down. We're going lift and down and lift and down and lift and down and lift and down. Switch sides. Feel that pelvic floor and Pilates scoop rising up. Feel your shoulder blades squeezing down your back and together. Yeah, so little motions, slow control. Switch. Good. Now we're just gonna bend that knee into the hip. We're gonna reach around behind. If you can't reach, grab any piece of fabric you might have. It could be a t-shirt, a hoodie, a yoga strap, anything that's laying around to wrap around your ankle, and we're gonna pull that heel directly into your butt. Could be a towel, kitchen towel works pretty well. And then I want you to rock both hips back onto the ground and really think about not pulling this foot out to the side, but right straight behind you. So my shoulders back and keeping it nice and even. All right, switch sides. Switch. And let's roll on to one side. Let's bring your bottom leg forward. Yeah? And we're gonna put your top leg all the way down on the floor. Yeah? So your big toe and your heel are touching the ground here. And we're gonna slide that leg back a little bit. Yeah? Open your hips up and then bring it back so that you feel your weight on the outside of that hip. We're gonna leave the leg a little bit back today, but I want you to see your foot, lock your knee, like actually lock your knee because we're trying to get medial quadricep to work. So kind of straight isn't gonna cut it here. We're actively locking out that knee. Locking out that knee, lower it down and lift it up. Tiny motion. Feel that squeeze. Keep the thigh back. Most of the time, folks bring their leg just slightly in front of the body and it hits a totally different direction. So squeeze that leg back and lower. And up. And lower. And up. Good, good, good. And then we're just going to kick straight back. So all I'm doing now is squeezing your gluteus maximus. So just that booty is squeezing to pull the thigh back. Tiny motion, deep, deep below and underneath, pulling back. If you're using a giant motion, then you're pulling in a bunch of other muscles, which isn't bad, but you're probably going to skip this tiny spot I want you to feel, which is right underneath your buns. Good, 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 good. Okay, bring that leg forward. Put it down just comfortably, wherever comfortable is for you. I'm going to hold on to it gently with my hand. And I'm going to lift my straight bottom leg now. Same thing is true. I'm keeping it locked out. And I'm going to look at it and use the inner thigh to lift. Good. All right, just a little bit of each of those things. Now I'm going to take my floor leg and tuck it in here. I'm already in a number 4 stretch if I do that. So if I pull my knee up, I'm going to roll onto my back, extend that leg for the upside down number 4. Stretch, yes. So I'm opening up this now bent leg. I'm going to take that arm, reach through, and pull your thigh into your chest. So you should feel this stretch on the hip that's bent on the outside down here. Yeah. You can push the knee out a little bit if you're not feeling it, or you can pull the other thigh in, and I'm latching this elbow into the inner thigh, and that helps me push it out as well. Doesn't matter whether this leg is bent or straight. Whatever feels good to you is fine. All right, here we go. Next step. We're going to take this bent leg and we're going to rotate it across the body, maybe 4 or 5 inches, just to increase the stretch. Yeah? So now my knee of the leg that can straighten is outside of my body. The ankle is outside of the body. And this knee is closer to its own hip. Bring it back center. And let's roll over to the other side. Top leg. Locked out. Place it on the floor first. Slide it back. Little lifts. Keeping it back. All right, keep it right there. We're going to use that glute to squeeze it back. Keep it small so it's just the underbutt area that has to work to pull the thigh behind you. Still holding in your Pilates scoop. Everything else is still. All right, we're going to take that leg to the front, place it down comfortably, lock out the bottom leg. Make sure that your leg is not rotating, so we don't want just the toes in the air and the heels down. We want it straight in line, and we're just going to lift it small and tight because we want to get the adductors here. So sorry, my leg is in the way. The little muscles right here at the top of the inner thigh that lift you up. Keep that leg sweeping back, don't let it float forward. That's sort of the big thing that helps me to feel it. If my leg's maybe 2 inches forward and I'm lifting it, there's just a whole lot of other things that can kick in to help. I'm really squeezing it back, and I feel it at the top of the inner thigh a little bit better. Whee! All right, friends, into your number 4 stretch. Pulling it close with your hands. Relaxing your neck and shoulders. Letting your elbow push out. And then we're going to take that ankle, big relaxing breath. Take that ankle and knee and let it drag your leg open across the body so that the hip we're stretching, that knee is now closer in front of its own shoulder. Big deep breaths. All right, lovely. Let's unhook those legs. Roll on up. If you have something that you can put a little bit of weight into, like a wall or a chair nearby, that would be great. We're going to come on up to the wall, for a stretch of our hip flexors and our quadriceps, right? So your quadriceps are these muscles on the front of your thighs. There's 4 of them, hence quad. But 2 of them connect and are hip flexors, and they go across the hip right here, and also here on the just on the inside of those middle quadriceps are your psoas muscle, which cross the hip line and attach to your hip bone and your lower back. So when your psoas is tight, it's going to rotate your hip forward, make your butt stick out, and make your back do too much work to hold your body up because your spine's not sitting on top of each other, right? So we want to open up the front of the hip so that your QL doesn't have to do so much work to hold you up while you're standing around, and instead we can have a nice aligned spine. So in order to do that, we're going to put our hand on something that helps you not want to cheat. We're going to put ourselves in this, I always think of it as like a proposal position, yes? So one foot is forward, the knee is over the foot. If your knee is past your foot like this, it's not big enough. You're definitely got to step that foot out at least as far as your knee there. And then this leg is going to be bent with the toes straight behind you, so we don't want to be crossing or making that uneven. And we're going to take our booties back for a second and then curl them underneath and shift forward with the whole body. Yeah? So pressing forward, you're going to work around to find square hips and feel the stretch right in the front. So I'm going to rotate to the front so you can see my positioning a little better. Nice and lined up. This hip is going to want to come up and be sassy at first, so do drop that down and sweep underneath to open up the hip flexors here. It's okay to feel it lower in your thigh, but we want to keep exploring with tucking under the 12 o'clock pelvis until you feel that opening at the very top of your thigh where your thigh plugs into your pelvis. So right here in this moment. Flex those abs a little bit so that you're re-pulling into 12 o'clock. Good, and let's switch sides, ease out of it. And you may be tempted, I certainly am. It feels like if I could just go down here, I could get in there, but that's getting a slightly different set of muscles. So let's do this one first, and then we'll work towards that split position, okay? I always want to get into that other one because it feels better. It's usually a sign that you need to do the stretch you're avoiding. I am also, I notice, pressing down with that back leg to really fire into this area. All right. Let's go ahead and take your right knee forward and come into a pigeon stretch. Walk your chest down onto that top leg. And if you're like, oh, this isn't so bad, we did that number 4 stretch, I'm a little more open in my front hip, then we're going to take our heel. Let me turn sideways so you can get a better idea of what I mean, right? Okay, so pigeon stretch, your knee is pointing straight forward, and your back leg, it might start out to the side, and as you get more flexible, it's going to go straight to the back. For this front leg to increase the pigeon stretch, what we do is we keep shifting the shin forward until it becomes at a right angle to the back leg. It's a slightly different stretch, but it also really opens up that front hip. And then as we take our back hip and begin to close it around and in, you're going to feel the stretch in this back leg as well as in the front leg. And some days you take a pigeon stretch and you focus on the back leg, and sometimes you focus on the front leg, and it's good to do both. So let's lean into the front. I know that when I do this stretch with my heel forward, I start to feel the stretch also in the IT band, which is that big tendon that runs on the outside of your thigh, like where stripes are on sports pants when they have the stripe down the side, or on a tuxedo. That's where your IT band is. So when I have my heel forward and I lean into it, I start to feel an IT band stretch in this front leg. And that's good. We want to stretch those IT bands for sure. Good. Slowly walking that up. We're going to close that knee back up, the leg that's back behind you. We're going to point that foot, not flex it, but point it. And we're going to bring the heel to the buns as close as you can. And maybe just holding onto that ankle and leaning away is enough to stretch, again, your thigh and your hip flexors. But if you can, let's put the top of the foot down on the floor and roll open the hips. I'm going to rotate and do that to the side so you can see what I mean. Okay, here I was in my pigeon pose. I'm going to let the foot come in. Right now my thigh and my knee are pointing down. I'm going to rotate and put the top of my foot down on the earth there. Yeah? So, top of the foot down on the earth. And then I'm going to lean away, and I'm trying to take this hip, which would be closed if I sat down, and I'm trying to open that hip like a book across and open the body. So I'm thinking, whoosh, opening that hip. If you're super flexible in your hip flexors, and you're not feeling it in the knee, then you can lay all the way back in this stretch if your knee isn't feeling affected. If your knee is really aching in this stretch, make sure that you're not flexing this foot, because flexing this foot will torque your shin and make your knee more uncomfortable. So top of the foot is on the floor. Keep taking the last few breaths as we stretch out the thigh. And you can see when I lay back, my knee comes up, and that's not really ideal. I'm going to try and find my way to a nice big opener. My back is arching right now, so I'm going to pull my back down towards the floor again. Remember, keeping the knee in a comfortable position. We don't want to be stretching or torquing those knee ligaments. You should be feeling this all in the thigh and hip flexor. All right, friends. Reach away from that leg to come up. And we will switch all the way to the other side. So now we are, the leg that was just behind you is going to be your front pigeon leg. Your back pigeon leg, if you're tight here, it's going to be out to the side a bit. And if you're a little more flexible, you're aiming to put it behind you like you're doing the splits. And we're going to lean forward into our pigeon. If you're not feeling it yet, or you're not sure if you're feeling it, then go ahead and scooch that heel forward. Find your breath and slow it down. All right, let's come up and focus on the back leg. So again, we're going to tuck it in, nice and tight, trying to put the top of the foot onto the ground here. We're going to lean away from it, trying to open up the thigh-hip relationship. You can push that hip rock forward and back if that helps you find your spot. Let yourself explore. Remember, keeping yourself aware of how your knee feels. We don't want to feel the torque in the knee at all. So be gentle with that. If you need to come forward and walk your knee back so that you're not torquing so much, that's just fine. Yeah. Trying to dip my belly button back. All right, come on up. Bring those knees forward. Nice parallel leg stretch. Noticing if your hips feel different as you do this. And we're going to bring our legs up for a second. I'm going to compress. So I'm pressing into my thighs with both hands, and then I'm going to try and open my thighs into those palms. Be fierce. Firing up the outside of your hips and underneath here. Pressing out. Good, release that. Now the opposite, I'm going to try and pull my legs apart with my arms. Remember, shoulders down and back, pulling apart, but I'm going to squeeze my legs back in. So adductors, I'm re-squaring my hips. Good, all right. Back onto your back again. We're gonna pull your right leg into your chest. We're gonna send that heel up. We're gonna hold on to the thigh, not the calf, even though I know I don't wanna hold the calf too. But I'd like you to pull your thigh into your chest, let that leg be bent, and try and straighten that thigh while you're holding the thigh against your chest. So don't let your thigh run away from you just so you can get it straight. I'd rather it not get all the way straight, but stay close to your body. You're looking for your tickle me Elmo moment. That's where your body is shivering just a little bit because you're at your maximum stretch. Do not pass tickle me Elmo, but do approach it. Try and relax your neck and shoulders and just let your biceps and your back do the work of holding your leg. Good, go ahead and bend that knee. Switch your legs. We're gonna do both sides twice. Thighs nice and close. And extend. Let your thigh come a little closer to your chest and extend a little deeper. See if you can relax your neck. Good, soften that knee. Switch back to your right leg. It's okay if your left leg is bent down here while you're doing this. It doesn't have to be all the way straight. But we're gonna bring that thigh, right thigh into your chest. We're gonna extend that leg. And now we're gonna take that leg like 3 inches across the body. Keeping your hip down. And bring it open now, so 3 inches outside of your chest. Good. Bend it back center and switch. Now your left knee's back in. Extending. And bring the heels 3 inches across the body. Both hips are still on the ground. Big breath. Notice it's slightly different if you bring your toe across the body versus bringing your heel across the body. So think about bringing that heel across the body. Soften, get closer again, little stretch. Good, go ahead and open. And soften. All right, last one here. We're gonna work a couple of steps into our middle stretch, yeah? So first, let's take those bent knees and open them on either side of your rib cage, yeah? So we're nice and bent here. We're gonna take our arms up in the air and we're gonna reach through and find your heels from the inside. This is called happy baby pose in yoga. So you should feel like I always imagine a really chubby happy baby playing with its feet for the first time. We want the knees to be out wide and the weight of the arm sort of presses your knee down towards the earth on both sides. So let your hamstrings open up, and if it feels good, you can rock your body side to side and let those hips really open. Notice there's some like inner thigh opening, but there's also the opening of your hamstrings. This does get your hamstrings as well. See if you can start to lengthen those legs a little bit. And notice how they're still really quite close to your body. But what wants to happen is that your ankles want to get further out than your heels. So I'm going to come back in and roll up. Let me do that same action, but in the seated position, yeah? So when we were on our backs, we pulled our legs in, we pulled them to either side of our chest, we reached through the center and grabs our heels, yeah? And then we pulled with our arms to get our knees to go out to the outside of us. So find that position there. And then we're gonna start to slide our feet out. And the nice thing about the floor here is that it just supports you so you don't have to do so much work with your arm, but then you have to kind of like make sure your lower back is coming through your legs and not just our arms. So both versions are good versions of the stretch. But notice here, go ahead and scoot your butt back a little bit. Notice here that your knees, we want them to be pointing wide and open, but as you straighten your legs, they're gonna try to fall inward, yeah? So definitely externally rotate those thighs as you reach forward. If you want to hold your legs, that's fine. If you want to just drop down in the center, that's fine too. Or if you want to use your arms and elbows to brace your knees out, that's also a great way to do this stretch. We're going to get our adductors in the inner thighs here. If you are super flexible, those legs are going to get a little wider. They're going to get a little lower, a little wider, a little lower, a little wider, a little lower. Keep at least micro bend the whole time now, because sometimes we lock out the knee here or like it falls in and almost immediately that starts to roll in. So make sure you're keeping that external rotation as you straighten. When the body falls in, the knee rolls in too. So you gotta fight to keep that, and the easiest way is to give yourself a little bit of slack in the knees. So I'm just gonna use my wrists and elbows here to push my knees open and back. So this stretch that I'm doing is the same stretch as this. It just looks more like a spider at first on its way to getting flat. As long as you're feeling it in the inner thighs, you're doing it correctly for your body, okay? Let's breathe into it for a few minutes, alrighty? And this will be our last stretch for today. Alrighty. One more press out and in. And you did it. Hopefully you're feeling a lot more limber and open in those hips and thighs. And I will see you next week.